Welcome back to the class, student. Till now we have completed different types of keys used in DBMS. So today I'm going to move with a new chapter, that is Structure Query Language, or SQL, or you can call it as SQL also. It is a 4th generation non-procedural language. Okay, so non-procedural language means it describes what all data is to be retrieved or inserted or deleted or modified. So here are some points that the SQL enables: that creating and modifying a database structure, changing security settings for system, permitting users for working on database or table, query database, inserting, modifying, deleting the database contents. These things we'll see in the next once we complete this portion. So student, this chapter SQL is completely based on practical work. So what today we are going to do is, before moving to the practical work, I'll show you after vacation the class that we will do, or I'll show you practically. But student, before moving to the practical work, we need to know some terms that are going to used. All right, so these terms are going to we are going to use these terms. So we need to know the brief description of those terms. Okay, so there are various basic elements of SQL or SQL is literals, database, nulls, comments. Okay, now what is literal? Literal refers to a fixed data value. Okay, the fixed data value may be character type, numeric, or other data types. For example, Cynthia, Igagra, Ronak, Raj Singh, etc., like 305 are all character text literal. Notice that all character literals are enclosed in single quotation marks or double quotation marks. So student, in the string literals of Python, we also discussed about that strings are enclosed in single quotes or double quotes. So here also the same thing, that characters are always enclosed in single or double quote. Okay, now numbers that are not enclosed in quotation marks are numeric literals, like 20 to 18. You can see in the example, numeric literals can either be integer literals, that is without decimal, or real literals, that is with decimal point. You can see in the example here. Okay, so whenever you will see that the number which is not enclosed in a single or double quotes, that means it refers to the integer. But if the same number is enclosed in quotes, that time we will consider that as a character or string. Okay, now next move to data type. What is data types? It means to identify the type of data, means what type of data it is. Okay, so for example, we can add values of number data type, but you cannot add values of car or worker types. Internal data types supported by MySQL includes one given here. So MySQL uses many different data types divided into 3 categories, that is numeric data type, date and time, and string types. Numeric data types are, MySQL uses all the standard ANSI SQL numeric data types. These are the list that MySQL use, a list of the numeric data types. Like int refers to integer, normal size integer that can be signed or unsigned. If signed, the allowable range is given. If unsigned, from 0 to the range is given. Then float, number that cannot be unsigned. Then double. Okay, then decimal. So these are for to represent decimal values. So these are the numeric data types. More data types are there. The MySQL common date and time data types are date, date time, timestamp, and time. So you just need to remember these terms for the different data types. Okay, students. Now next is more important, this also, that string or text types: char, then varchar, blob, or text. Why we are going to study these you will understand just once I'll start creating table or creating database. Okay, now difference between char and varchar data types, this is one of the very important questions, so you must know what is the difference. Actually both are for the same purpose, that both are character types, but one must be clear about fixed length and variable length field. So char stand for character and varchar variable character. A field is a data element which can store one type of information which is composed of characters. Number of characters that a field can store is called field length or field weight. Now fixed length fields have fixed lengths. They occupy fixed number of bytes for every data elements they store. So those are char. But varchar length fields have varied field length. Okay, their length is variable, so it may varies. The difference between char and varchar is that of fixed length and variable length. The char data type specifies a fixed length character string. When a column is given data type as char n, means suppose char 5, then MySQL ensure that all values stored in that column have this length, means within, if I'll write char in the bracket 5, then it should be of 5 length. Okay, 5 character it should be, it should not exceed more than 5. But when if a value is shorter than this length, and then the blanks are added but the size of the value remains the same. Like I have written 5 char bracket 5, but I am writing only 4 words, but it will consume all the allot, use all the 5 bytes, so there will be a wastage in the space. Alright, which is not the case in variable. If in the varchar you will write 20 and you are using 10, then it will only allot 10 space and rest 10 will not be used. Okay, this is the difference. Varchar on the other hand specifies a variable length string. When a column is given data type as varchar n means whatever number, then the maximum size of value in this column can have n bytes. Each value that is stored in this column stored exactly as you specify. No blanks are added. If the length is shorter than the maximum, however, if you exceed the maximum length, then an error message is displayed. If you have given 20, then it should not exceed 20. It should be within the length of 20. Okay, now next is null value. Null value in a row has no, if a column in a row has no value, then column is said to be null or to contain a null. Null can appear in columns of any data type provided they are not restricted by not null or primary key integrity constraint. So make sure that one thing you should make sure that not to use null to represent a value of 0, because they are not 0 and null is not equivalent. Student, do remember this. So if somewhere you will see 0, it doesn't mean that it's null. Both of these are different. Any arithmetic expression containing a null always evaluates to null only. For example, null added to 10 is null. In fact, all operators return null when gives a null operand. Now, comments is a text that is not executed. It is only for documentation purpose. So, I have also discussed in Python, for comment we use star or like hash we use. Here, beginning the comments with slash star, then begin the comments with followed by space. You can give begin the comment with hash that we have discussed in Python also. Now student, now next we will see this SQL command syntax. Now keywords are words that have a special meaning in SQL. They are understood to be instruction. Here the SQL keywords have been printed in capital letter. Commands or statements are instructions given by us to a SQL database. Commands consist of one or more logically distinct parts called clauses. Clause begin with a keyword for which they are generally named and consist of keywords and arguments. Examples of clause are from is a clause, where is a clause. Okay. Objects are structure in the database that are given names and stored in memory. They include base tables, views and indexes. Now symbols used in syntax statements are, just go through these symbols that we are going to use for creating databases. Statement in MySQL is always completed with a semicolon. Do remember this, a very important rules. You can say that at the end of this SQL statement you have to give a semicolon. Also, you can write SQL statement in any case, whether lowercase or uppercase, because commands in SQL are not case sensitive. Okay, so the text literals or character literals that you specify in quotation marks are case sensitive. Okay, so whatever you will write in the quotation, that will be of case sensitive. Now next move to opening of database. Now we will see how to create database. Now see, creating database, this is the syntax: create database, then database name. Do follow this first part, that is create database. That if not exist is there in the square bracket, so that is not mandatory, means that will check that if you will give the name of that database, it will check if that database does not exist, then only it will create. Like if not exist clause if used, will first test whether a database by the mentioned name already exists or not. If it does, then create database command is simply ignored, otherwise a database with the mentioned name is created. So if not exist, then it will create a new database. So if not exist, this command is optional. Okay student, so you can simply write create database, then name of the database, suppose commerce or class 11 IP, after that semicolon, that you can write. Okay, next, like you can see here, create database MyDB, or you can write class 11 IP, then create database if not exist class 11 IP, means it will create, first one will create the database, and second one create a database having name same if there is no database exist with that previous name we have entered. Okay, now opening database, simply write use then name of the database. If that is already there, then it will show you the database, use the database. If not, then it will not show any database. Now students, suppose you want to check what are the names of the database that is already available or exist, then you have to write show databases. Okay, so databases you have to write. If MySQL returns the name of the database in the output, it means your database already exists. To check if there already exists a database by the name test, we can write if MySQL shows no name and just gives empty set, it means that given database name does not exist. Okay, so database will give the list of the database present in the list. So student, don't just get confused regarding this. These are very easiest part, and this question is very scoring also. I'll be showing you these things in the software, MySQL software. It will be very convenient for you all to understand. Even you'll feel that what sort of easy things these are. Okay. So now removing database. Suppose you have already created a database and you want to remove that. Just simply write drop database. You have to write then the name of the database what that you want to remove. Then it will simply remove that database from the list. Okay. At last is creating table. Now in that database you want to add a new table. For that we use create table command. Okay. When a table is created, its columns are named, data types and size are supplied for each column. Each table must have at least one column. Now student, do go through the syntax in a very proper way. Now see, create table. Suppose information practice in the table name, then column name, roll number, data type is what, integer, then size, roll number, suppose 5, give size 5 because roll number should not exceed more than 5. Then column name, data type, give car because name will be in character. Okay, so this is the format is column name, data type and size of the data. You can see in the example like employee, e-code, e-name, sex, grade and gross. 5 column are here. So e-code integer, e-name is in character, so name, then sex is also in character, then grade character, 2 character it will take mostly. Now gross, decimal. Okay, gross means it may be the amount may come in decimal, so decimal has been taken. So students, these are the formats. Just go through this. Don't, if you feel any type of confusion, just mark those things because I'll be discussing all these in the MySQL software. Then it will be very easier for you all to understand. Okay.